have his talk today. So I think Rajesh, you can start your talk, and it's really nice. We shouldn't waste time, huh?
Yes. Thank you, madam. And now I am going to share my slides. Good afternoon, everybody, and very happy Environment Day to all. Okay. I hope all of you are able to see my slides.
Yes, yes.
Yes, we can see that.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. Very nice. Yeah, it is because of the technological glitch I cannot see you all, but I would be very happy to, address or answer or discuss any question later on, because this is such a topic. And please be very, informal. I would say whatever you can think about my slide or my work. I don't mind, even if I don't know the answer. Okay, so let us start. We are celebrating the World Environmental Day 2021, and I am again very thankful to our director who asked me to deliver this lecture maybe on a short notice, but I luckily had published, got online this paper. And this, let me tell you, the monsoon tracking is one of my passion, not only scientifically, otherwise also from newspaper and other information sources. And like not only for me, I think most of the Indians follow monsoon in a very, very different way, in their own way, religious way, non-religious way. And let me begin with the introduction of the World Environmental Day, because I'm giving this lecture on today is 5th June, and this day is observed as a World Environment Day since 1974, declared by United Nations to create awareness in the younger generation for our environment, which is getting fragile day by day. And every day, every year on this day, as you might have seen your WhatsApp or Facebook, lot of greetings, environmental friendly greetings you receive. This year, the theme, every year the different themes are decided. This year, the theme, which is ecosystem restoration, which is very, I think, close to the heart of BSIP researchers. And it is also interesting to see that Pakistan, which is a neighboring country, it is honored as a global host of the day. And why I am saying that, you will see in my talk. So with this, I want to show this, my old slide, not new, but I think this is, most of the people know what it is. Here, the temperature anomaly over Indian landmass has been plotted, the systematic time series. Uh, this time series may not be very up to date. I mean, this may be up to, I think, 2015 or 2016, doesn't matter. But the important thing which you can see in recent few decades, all the red lines and in the upper zone. So that shows that we are increasing, the surface temperatures are increasing all over the India at a very fast rate. And why this is? For general, because I have seen lot of gathering is there from students, so I sometimes, please excuse me, scientists and experts, if I am taking some of the things like this. But here, the time series of the CO2 and CO2 emissions are plotted, and they also show an unprecedented increase after 1960s. The reasons are also pretty simple. The industrial emissions, vehicular pollution, we all know very well. So you might be thinking I am giving a very general lecture, but not. It is not like this. See, in India, or you can say Indian subcontinent, when we talk about the climate change, we usually talk about the climate change into, I mean, the temperature change in the eyes of, I mean, Europe and America, the developed world. They are much more concerned about the temperature change. But in India, you might agree with me, we are not that much concerned. And it is not a question of perception. If you ask the IMD experts, the climatologists or policymakers, they also say that we are, yes, we know, we are working on the 1.5-degree scenario. The global climate is getting warmer, but the temperature is not that much of concern for us compared to the monsoonal rainfall. And let me share with you, I mean, you know already that temperature has its strong footprint over the monsoonal rainfall. Everybody knows in some form or the other. So with delicate balance, because of the increasing temperature, the monsoonal system, if it gets disbalanced, then we might see the pictures from, the left-hand side to the right-hand side. That means flooding to the drought situation. And let me tell you, it is very interesting that the global community, since, as I know, since 2006, is very intensely debating what is going to happen to the Indian summer monsoon rainfall. Indian summer monsoon rainfall is 4 months rainfall, June, July, August, September, which is responsible for supplying 80% of the annual rainfall for India and all over the subcontinent. Lot of papers you will see I have quoted very less. In general thinking of the modelers and the climatologists is that because of the warming and monsoon is going to strengthen. So that, I mean, our agriculturalists and all, they think that global warming is good for us. But there is a group, I mean, lot of scientists believe otherwise. They have published very good papers that according to them the monsoon is going to decrease, in fact, and they have proposed several variety of the, not only I would say hypothesis, the mechanistic links, the causal reasons, etc. And very important to quote here, the Roxy et al. 2015 that came in the Nature Communication. This guy is from IITM Pune, some of us know very well, Roxy Matthew Cole. He published this paper, got very famous all over the place. But at the time also when this paper got published, I had a problem in understanding or forcing this, whether it is right or wrong. Because I was seeing in the last one and a half decade or so, actually with the accelerated warming, the rainfall all over the place in India, most of the places is increasing. So that's why in 2016, Dipti Singh wrote a review article in the Nature Climate Change, which is titled as Tug of War on Rainfall Change. So that means we don't know, we are not still certain whether rainfall is actually increasing or rainfall is decreasing. In that paper, however, she has written that overall, if you integrate all over the place of India, maybe there is a 7% decrease since 1950, but that is also not very sure. So before I go to actually my work, I just, for the sake of completeness, I want to show this slide. Particularly, I want to draw students' attention on this, as I feel a lot of experts or other scientists, they are aware of this very basic thing, but still it is important. So here, if you see the first slide, which is A, this is the general monsoon circulation system. That during the summer months, the land gets heated and the air above the land gets rarer and it rises up. And then compared to the land, ocean doesn't, it also gets heated, but it is having its own buffer capacity, so it doesn't get heated that much. That's why it is little bit cooler. So the air goes towards the ocean and picks up the moisture and causes the rain, which is a very simple, I would say everybody knows it. So how the different factors, how the anthropogenic factors are causing problems for the rainfall, this is important to see. With the increasing greenhouse gases, people think that that's what the Roxy et al. 2015 Nature Communication paper said, that because land is getting warmer and along the side, the Western Indian Ocean, where from the moisture is actually coming, that is also getting warmer. So what will happen that, I mean, in that paper he said, I am not saying that the difference of SST and the land temperatures is going to decrease, and that will create a problem for the monsoon. And the paper got published in Nature Communication. A lot of other good papers, I mean, have come in a variety of very leading journals about the aerosol effect, including Satyendra Tripathi group and so many other groups from IITM, that what aerosols are doing with the rainfall. And I don't want to go into the deep, but largely it is settled that aerosols are causing the high frequency, I mean, the extreme events, but they are overall reducing the rainfall tendency or chances. Okay, so that is also a little bit confusing, but more or less settled. But then there are very few work, very less work has been done on this fourth aspect, which is the land use effect. And I think it is of concern with the WSIP. That's why I wanted to put this slide. That if you change the land cover over the Indian land mass, I may come to this point later also. I don't want to spend too much of time, but here, as you can see here, it is written that in changing land use effect is going to cause the rainfall weakening. So it is little confusing. And then I come to my recent work, which is recently, I mean, 2 days back, this paper got published and got online. The changing Indian monsoon rainfall patterns and the recent warming. The period is written between 2001 to 2018. In this paper, let me just inform you what we have done. See, all the confusion before this I have talked about, we tried to look into, I mean, in a much more, probing way. And my feeling was there all the time that India is such a big place, and it is having the hot desert, cold desert, Kashmir to Kanyakumari, Gujarat to Northeast. It is very difficult to talk about India as a whole, anything conclusively or decisively what is going to happen. But one thing is very true, nobody can deny, that temperatures over the land, most of the part of the India have increased, and there are a lot of papers and reports in Nature and all the newspapers that this particularly last 2 decades, because 2000 to 2020, let's say, they have more than 15 or 16 abnormally warm years. So this period is very different. So what is what other things are different? That we are experiencing lot of extreme rainfall events. In fact, there are papers in the course. I mean, in this paper also we have quoted, and otherwise also you can see. In fact, this Goswami and Rajivan, they are of the opinion that now currently more than 60% of the rainfall actually comes in form of extreme rainfall events only. One more thing which is I am going to cover today, that surprising, I mean, not too much surprising, but well, it is surprising that Gujarat and southern Rajasthan, the areas, I mean, the downstream to the Thar desert, and when I am saying Thar desert, you know, it is a desert, they are getting greener and they are having much more rainfall, and sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, with little bit of rain also they are getting flooded. So this type of situation we wanted to probe, and the developing the warm and dry zones and the effect of temperature, what it is doing. For that, as some of us know very well, we need the time series analysis data. And in this paper, we have concentrated only on the data available in the public domain. It's not the proxy data or anything. And for the temperature, we have used this CRU, this Climate Research Unit, University of Delaware, UDEL, and then the reanalysis data of NCEP. And we have also taken the 3 data sets from the CRU, UDEL, and the GPCC for the rainfall. The resolutions are written here. Most of the time they are 0.5 by 0.5 degree. Sometimes like reanalysis, they are 1.5 by 1.5. For the SSTs, in this talk today, because of the time shortage, I have not included slides for the SSTs, but in this paper it is there. But the data sources are written there. So right from the beginning, I am coming the temperature change. This figure, I want you to look at the middle figure, the middle one, because here, before showing this figure, I must tell you our approach, what we did actually. We used multiple data sets because we wanted to see the synoptic picture, the consensus picture. So you might be wondering that why this many data sets have been considered. So we have taken the 3 data sets, and we have tried to see the common period and the accuracy and the reliability of data where it is maximum. So let me share with you, for our analysis part, we have selected the data 1970 onwards because it is very reliable, very well constrained, and the time series data has been very well, cross-checked by the rain gauge data or the temperature recording data, everything. So I'm sure the middle picture, if you see, that is the 1971 to 2000. But you might be wondering, what is MAM? Let me just tell you, this was my thinking, that MAM is March, April, May. These 3 months, warming of the land for these 3 months actually decides the next 4 months rainfall. And this is there, in several other papers. I also have paper, but other people also, you can cross-check that. That is a right way of approach. That MAM you have to consider. So here, what we did is, in fact, we took this period of 2000 to 2016, and we looked the picture with respect to the normalizing period, which is 1971 to 2000. And when we do with little bit of, if you want, I will go into the detail how we do it. Right now it is not important. So the difference, the bottommost picture, if you see here, the scenario is coming up, and as you can see here, the most of the North India, Indo-Gangetic plains, and particularly northwest of India are getting warmer very intensely compared to the rest of the India. Okay. Now, I have already shown you. I think I don't need to explain you the connection between the temperature change and the rainfall change. Very briefly again, if the temperature, the surface temperature at 2 meters are going to change in such a manner which we are experiencing in the last 2 decades, they are going to affect the pressure situation around different regions depending on regional characteristics. And then this pressure zones, if they get created, they are going to affect the wind system, wind pattern, wind intensities, and the monsoon, by definition, it is the reversal of the wind, and winds are carry the moisture from the ocean, and then they get poured on land. That is what is called precipitation. So it is, nothing too great to think about that. If we are seeing unprecedented rise in temperature, it is going to affect the rainfall over India or other places. But how, that is a tricky thing, because a lot of things go in the translation. So here if you see, again, the same method which I used for the temperature. So here if you see, the emerging picture is again the Gujarat and some parts of the southern Rajasthan are getting, you know, much more moist, better, sorry. Whereas most of the Indo-Gangetic plains, they are getting actually dry. So that observation which Roxy published in 2015 was not totally, I mean, wrong also, the perception or the modeling. So we are getting dryness here in the middle of the India, and also over, you can see here, the northeast region. And northeast region, most of the BSIP people know are quite wet region. So actually, this results also, and these results are actually corroborating the earlier inferences and other papers also, that northeast and the Kerala, they are getting drier, and this place, the Gujarat and the western Rajasthan or the southern Rajasthan and some parts of Maharashtra, they are getting wetter. Now, as I told, in between, the connection between the rainfall and the temperature comes via wind. So here we have tried to look, examine the wind patterns. In the left-hand side figure, we took the wind parameter of the 850 hectopascal, and the other side we have taken this vertically integrated moisture flux. The left-hand side, first let me just talk about this. Why at the 850 hectopascal wind is taken? Because this you can consider, if people who do not know this, that this wind around 1 to 1.5 kilometer, they are considered considered to carry the clouds containing the moisture, the maximum, most important. So this region is much more important, about 1 to 1.5 kilometer above the land surface. So here also from wind pattern, I think nothing much you can make out by the figure, but you can make out from the vertically integrated moisture flux very clearly that the difference what has come in from 2001 to 2018 with respect to 1979 to 2000, you might see that sometimes there is a difference. Like the winds are available, wind data is available from 1971, so we took that. But this vertical integrated moisture flux was probably not available. That's why we had to do this. But one thing is emerging here also. You can see that which are the regions of India which are getting actually more moisture. You can see this zone is getting a little bit better compared to the central Indian and the northeast and all this region. Now, this is, this picture again, you may think that it is quite complicated. So I don't want to pull you in all the details of this, but one thing you can appreciate that here we have tried to actually understand that the regions, particularly the southern Rajasthan and Gujarat, this region, this is getting better, and this I would say you can cross check with the newspaper reports, and based on your perception, if you go there, talk to people, if you go to Jaisalmer, if you go to Anupgarh, Hanumangarh, all those places are Gujarat, Rajkot, Kashiawar, all those places, that this observation in the last 20 years, these areas which are traditionally arid, actually highly arid, they are experiencing quite good rainfall and the whole demographic changes you can see there. So we wanted to understand in terms of this pressure levels. People who know, for them it is not important, but people who do not know that actually this Thar desert region, why it is desert, it is not because of the monsoon failure there, it is because southwest monsoon actually goes there. But what happens, the southwest monsoon carrying winds are little below, and on the high heights, this northerly wind actually they try to suppress it, so they don't allow convection to happen. That's why these regions are actually the arid, they are traditionally arid, at least for more than 3000 years or so. That's why Thar desert is very famous. They are traditionally hot and arid conditions are there, and it is not because of the only because of the monsoon or moisture problem. It is because of the convection problem. So what we are seeing in this picture actually, I want to look at show you this actually. So first you look at this, because this is 1971 to 2000. This parameter, this pressure levels of the northerly winds are much above. I mean around 900 or so. They don't come to 850 or 800 where it matters. But in recent years, there is a tendency, and we could capture this tendency pretty well because other people could not capture this. That's why we were able to give this mechanistic link that this pressure levels of, sorry, they are getting up to the 800 also, and that is causing, according to our submission in this paper, that is the reason, that is why these regions are getting better. So what I mean to say, if you ask me why the western Rajasthan, southern Rajasthan and the Gujarat regions are getting better because of the climate change, it is not because any extra moisture is coming over there. It is purely because of the atmospheric dynamics has changed there. Okay. If I get a chance later on, I'll come back to this importance of this, because we are working for the India. I mean, we are Indian citizens. That's why we are worried about India, but it is only geographical situation. A lot of area, this observation and this mechanistic link is much more important for the Pakistan region, particularly Balochistan region. Okay. And if I get a time, I'll try to, if you ask me some questions, intricacies of this, I'll try to come on this. But then I want to show you this slide also. Here, don't get confused between this the rainfall pattern. I have already shown you the temperature pattern, rainfall pattern, and wind situation over India in last 50 to 70 years. But here we have plotted aridity index, and in general, as you know, paleo scientists in the SIP, what we use as aridity is a little bit different. That's why I have put the definition. This is a numerical representation of the degree of dryness of the climate over a location, and AI is actually the P divided by PET, and P represents the average annual rainfall. So far we were talking about this monthly rainfall or southwest monsoon rainfall, but in general, according to United Nations, AI includes the average annual rainfall, and then PET. I think for DSIP people, they know very well, pretty well this parameter. I presume this is called potential evapotranspiration. So it is the net, actually you can say precipitation minus respiration. And by the vegetation, looking at the vegetation, and I don't know, by the pollen assemblages in the recent records, etc. This parameter is actually investigated and people try to model it. And it is because it is very important parameter in the climate modeling. Okay. So what are the major inferences which we can draw from all the whatever I have talked about? In response to the recent accelerated warming, in my half an hour talk, let me just tell you, you may not have got fully that what is the recent accelerated warming. So I would just invite you to look at this our paper also, and some whatever the cross references you will see. 15 or 16 recent years in this after 2000 have turned out to be, unusually warm. So we are living in an era of the unusually warm situation. Okay, so we try to look at this unusually warm, why it is happening, and what it turns out, as we presume or we thought of, that certain pockets of India are turning into the warm zones, particularly the Western India, the Punjab and the nearby, I mean Punjab of the Pakistan, and all these places are getting highly warm. And then comparatively, this is also interesting for some people. Comparatively, I would not say that they are getting actually colder, but relatively that kind of accelerated warming is not dominant on some parts of Eastern India, of Odisha and West Bengal. So that difference can create, some kind of, thermocouple kind of situation. Again, a small pocket like land-ocean thermal contrast, things like that. Because it is sitting very near to the Bay of Bengal, and we receive a lot of moisture from Bay of Bengal. The other major influence, and because of this actually this paper we started, that why we are seeing flooding over Gujarat and southern Rajasthan, and it is not sporadically now, it is becoming a regular feature in last 2 decades. So whether the climate change, is really happening over there, if you ask me where the climate change is happening in terms of rainfall, I would say go to Gujarat and southern Rajasthan. You will see this. You can map it. Satellite have captured it. Okay. Then when we started this work actually because of a lot of new things were there. So as you know, people do not accept things very easily from Indians. So we were getting rejection, but somehow Chinese group Jin and Wang, they published a paper of the regreening of Thar much earlier. Now 2-3 years earlier than us, Jin and Wang. And initially we got little bit taken aback that we could not publish, but when we looked at that paper, there were a lot of I would say at least shortcomings and flaws. They very quickly did some analysis, and all these things are there in our paper. Their observation is right, that there is a tendency of greening around the, as I said again and again, this southern Rajasthan and Gujarat, and there the vegetation and all the surface conditions are changing. That is correct. But the kind of the mechanism and the ideas why it is happening, they were not correct. I can tell you why it is not correct. We have done in-depth analysis. I have not covered everything because of the short time duration here. But what we did, that is there in the supplementary information, we looked at past 110-year record of this dry region of Rajasthan and Gujarat, and tried to look at whether this wetness is a part of any natural cycle. Not very long cycle, but like a decadal cycle or some multi-decadal cycle. But we could not find anything, because Jin and Wang proposed it may be a kind of long-term cycling. Because of that it is happening. And in that our paper, we actually provided a very good convincing mechanism why is this regreening of the Thar is getting possible because of the anthropogenic climate change. We have given all this mechanistic link. Some figures I have shown, some figures are there in the supplementary figure. The last but not the least, this is not my last slide. I have one or two more, but from the inference side, the last inference, which is also very important, because before all this, I mean, I would say 3-4 years or 5 years back, if you ask any IMD person or the policymaker or this kind of people, what do you think about the global climate change? They had been given the information very clearly by the scientists and all over the India, I would say, that what global climate change is going to do, it is going to make wet regions more wetter and arid regions more dry. And that thing was like a kind of textbook thing. When we were studying the monsoonal dynamics from our PhD and later on writing our papers. So this thing was like this actually. Nobody can challenge this hypothesis. But right from the beginning, I don't know. I mean, I had problem with this. No, and it is getting. I'm very happy to see it is getting proven now that this idea is not correct. That the wetter, already wet places are getting wetter. That's why Northeast is a wet place, and that is getting drier. Whereas the arid place, the Northwest India, the southern Rajasthan, and the Gujarat, they are getting wetter. Okay. Not only yes, I mean several other papers are also there. I'm just showing. I'm not going into the details of that. So this paper recently came out in 2020, Journal of Climate by Chinese group again, and they have. I'll just show one line only. Their observation for South Asian monsoon or Indian summer monsoon rainfall. They talk about that ISM rain actually was decreasing. That was true from 1950 to 1999, but it got a revival. A recovery from 1999 to 2013, and they have in this paper, I just want to inform, they have tried to look into the possible forcing, and they have come up with this paper that this is happening because of the changes in the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific decadal oscillations are changing. That is the reason, and a lot of people, I mean, they have their own thinking. And we are also working, and at least I am also working on this aspect that in a long-term climate change scenario, how you take this? I mean, what are the possible forcing factors? What it is going to do? Okay, so that is, I mean, our next project. So now I'll end with a Hindi sentence. Okay, I assume that everybody कैन रीड हिंदी. जब तक मानसून है भारत में पानी की कोई कमी नहीं है. विषय सिर्फ पानी के प्रबंधन का है. आई took this as a take home message, but it is picked up from somebody's actually Facebook, but I liked it. For my talk, this line was working as a take home message, and for general public, all the people, Motskai, otherwise he will have a problem. I assume he is there. As long as monsoon is there, there is no dearth of water for India. The real question is its management. So that is the take home. With this take home message, I conclude this World Environmental Day lecture, and thank you for your attention. If any question is there, I would be happy to address. I don't know whether I can answer all the questions.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Just give me a second. Yes.
Actually, sir,
Okay,
I
now-
am not working on this field, but just for curiosity, I have two questions. One is regarding the shifting of latitudinal pressure gradient, means whether there is effect of Indian summer monsoon, which we can see by shifting of latitudinal pressure gradient cells. Means if it is shifting some degree, 1 degree or 2 degree, then it is going to affect the distribution pattern of Indian summer monsoon. And another question is West Antarctic ice
Is
sheet.
the question or your observation? Sorry,
No, just
this is
I'm
your
curious whether it,
observation, right?
no, not observation. I am just curious about whether it is happening or not. Any shifting of
It is-
pressure gradient in this region?
It It is not happening. That's what my talk showed. It is not happening very mathematically the way we want. It is happening its own way. So that's why when we showed this figure, the pressure figure, if you remember, there if you go through my paper, you will see that for understanding in a better way, we try to integrate the moisture or the pressure parameters for a particular latitude, zone by fixing the longitude, or sometime for particular longitude we fix the latitude. See, when we want to see the synoptic picture, if we move everything, we cannot see anything. Are you getting my point?
Yes, yes.
In a very, I mean, common man language, that is true that there is a latitudinal or longitudinal wise shifting is there, we are seeing. That's why this Gujarat and Rajasthan are getting better.
No, actually, what happened when pressure gradient occur in Arabian Sea, the monsoon intensification means mostly affected by Arabian Sea pressure zone. Are you getting them? Okay. So if there is any shifting in pressure gradient in the Arabian Sea, like means sometime it is in south and then it is shifting towards north, then it is going to affect Indian monsoon. Means one place it is going to having more rainfall, then other place having dry, like this.
The question which you are asking me, they have been very, very precise. I mean, I would not say very precisely, but they have been addressed pretty well in both the papers of Roxy Matthew Cole, 2015 Nature Communication. Okay, how the sea surface temperature, SSTs are going to play in our paper. Also, we have some supplementary figures for that. But since already Roxy had done this work, so we didn't want to repeat it. But I just want to tell you, this the SST warming and the land warming, they are happening in a different rate. So it is not, that's why he had to publish a paper again in 2017, that is in scientific report, that actually whether it is drying up or it is actually wetting the Indian subcontinent. It is not very sure. Let me tell you. It is like this. I showed you the figure, the slide number 5. If SSTs are going to increase, the land is also going to increase, the temperature is also going to increase.
Yes.
But the rate is important.
Okay.
Okay. Are you getting my point?
Yes, yes, sir. Yeah, the intensification rate is important. That's okay. And another question is, sir, do you have any observation of West Antarctic ice sheet melting? Actually, it was started 1995 to recently it was melting, West Antarctic ice sheet. So moisture from...
I have not worked on, the Western Antarctic ice sheet, but when I looked over the Uttarakhand rainfall and its anomalies in after 2013 Kedarnath disaster, there is a paper by me only, Agnihotri et al., 2017, where we looked at the Eurasian ice sheet. I have not worked much on the Western Antarctic ice sheet.
Okay, sir. Actually, just curious. Thank you, sir.
Rajesh, I have one question.
Hello.
Hello, Rajesh.
Yes, please. Yes, sir.
Amit Ghosh here.
Yes.
Yeah, my question is, we all know that ITCZ is controlling everything. So as far as your monsoon is concerned, but I just want to know that what is the response or what is the effect of your Indian Ocean dipole in the controlling the monsoon of India?
Well, it's a very good question. I was thinking this Masood only will come on this, but it is good that you picked up this. See, when this SST anomalies over the Western Indian Ocean and the Central Indian, the temperature anomalies, which is actually controlling the ITCZ movement, essentially, they are being talked about. In general, thinking is that you can talk about, like with people like Naveen Jual and other people also, they will tell you that the same thing I am telling you. I have not worked on this so far, but they will the same thing what they will tell you, I know. they will say when actually the condition of the ITCZ suppression, I showed in one of the figures, wherever it gets suppressed, this
Yeah.
Indian IO actually kind of gets activated and it compensates for it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, but
Okay.
this factor, what you are saying, under
Okay.
the realm of recent warming
Right.
is
Right.
like after 2000 has not
Yeah.
been looked into. Students or new researchers can probe this. This is a older thinking. What I just told you.
Okay.
It
Right.
always
Right.
compensates.
Yeah. Yeah. Because your as far as your upwelling condition and everything is concerned, in fact, Indian Ocean Dipole might have some role or may have some role in controlling the planktonic community in that particular part of Indian Ocean, right?
It is always playing a role. It is always playing a role like a buffer that when actually the traditional from the Western Indian Ocean, the moisture transport is not good enough because of the rupture, let us say because of the El Nino.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
it is in between, it tries to compensate for that. Okay, but what is happening? It will compensate only if at all, because if this pressure difference or the wind pattern will allow it, it may so happen that can be, I mean, I think from your question, I think I'm feeling one should work on this, because in this coming scenario after 2000, whether the Indian Ocean dipole will be able to compensate the monsoon deficit for India or not, I
Exactly.
really don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was
Exactly.
compensated so far in the traditional way.
Exactly. So thank you, Rajesh, for your response, and thank you for your and congratulations to you for your climate dynamics paper. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Please,
Uh,
anybody?
Hello, Rajesh. Yeah, thank you for the lovely, description and about telling us about the last 2 decades, how this precipitation has, really changed, and the notion that we had has really, you've really clearly explained us. And I agree with you because, though I'm not working in the very recent time span, I've worked in this cold arid desert, and there in Ladakh, there also we see the same thing. Like I've been going to Ladakh since 2000, and I'm seeing that the dry areas are becoming wetter. So I
Yes.
fully agree with you. And if you and I also, you just said that it's not the precipitation source that's going into the Gujarat and the southern Rajasthan. It is the circulation pattern that is governing all this. So is it
Correct.
in the Tibetan plateau area also, is this the same thing? That of course there is westerly and ISM, but the circulation patterns are quite different in the last 20 years. That is why are we seeing all these changes?
That is very, very correct. I could not take because in one talk, a lot of things cannot be taken. But one thing,
True.
just last evening, I mean, yesterday evening, I was watching the TV and I saw, I think you people should take up this kind of upcoming project for the new researchers. That why Himachal Pradesh? You are talking about Ladakh. I know you love Ladakh. That is okay, but little bit
Yeah,
below.
yeah.
Where from maximum apples come actually. Okay, and we also buy apples, the Himachali apples. Because
Huh.
of climate change, now in the last some few years, the apple crop are getting devastated because of the increased length of snow, which is going up to April. And
Right.
now, you see why this climate science or the kind of science which we do in BSIP is important. Now, this people, the insurance agencies, because these are the cash crops, they get insured. They pay a lot of premium. And now, like a OMG movie, these insurance companies are saying it is happening because of the climate change. We will not pay you. तो दिस किसान को मिल नहीं रहा है वो जो प्रीमियम का वो जो एवज में जो उनकी फसलों का नुकसान हो रहा है बिकॉज ऑफ द
हाँ.
इंक्रीज लेंथ ऑफ स्नो कवर. They are saying it is an act of God. It is not act of God.
Yeah, true. It's not act of God. Even in Ladakh and that area, matlab the north west Himalaya, the Trans and the Tethan, and of course Himachal zone, there the March, April, May temperatures are also increasing. So precipitation, I don't know, precipitation is also increasing and the temperature also. So what about the early melting and that should also like there is so much of contradictions. Sometimes you
Lot
feel,
of confusion.
do we really understand it, or is it in pockets only that we are seeing such data? So yeah, you're correct that we should have a mega project on such things so that at least the policy makers or the people like the agricultural people can be at least told about what is happening or what in the coming 10 years they should do with their land or what should they expect, what kind of crop is coming. So yeah, I feel this is a very good start, Rajesh, that you did. It's really nice. Thank you
I will,
so much.
I will add, Vinitaji, one thing in your comments or question. The problem with these hilly areas of the Himachal and Ladakh is that the time series data, which because of the Gujarat and Rajasthan and all the Delhi, we have very sure that what is happening actually we can see. But there in Himachal, Ladakh, the problem is the radiometer, photometer, or whatever you talk about the rain gauge. Nobody is there to look after. The real data is not there. If we are monitoring very well, if we can develop the monitoring stations pretty well, and we really monthly, every day, rainfall, snowfall, these we can monitor, then this climate short-time predictions can be much better, and then the realistic, the scenario can be developed, and they can help actually our farmers and all those. The problem with
True.
those regions, nothing is, I mean, satellite will give something to know, but it doesn't mean anything. Okay.
Yeah, true. Thank
So,
you. Thank you so much.
so Rajesh, it's a really very enjoyable talk. We really liked the way you presented. And just one thing, one curiosity regarding the Thar Desert area, as we all know that early Harappans and then early like mature Harappans, they were actually colonizing in this area, desert areas. So, what do you think about it? At during that time, also the similar situation must have been, or it was something different, high precipitation condition because of some different method or something different. So this is because, and what do you think that again this area is becoming greening, is more greener. So in future it will be colonized again like something, because there are a lot of archaeological artifacts and archaeological details are there that it was precipitation was very high during that time period, and but now the situation is very different. What do you
I'm
think?
very happy. I'm really very happy, madam, that you digged out this question. I was expecting some student or somebody would ask me this question. I was waiting for this question that before 3000 or 4000 years, actually these areas were quite wet. We know we get lot of archaeological sites. All the Indus Valley civilization was there, and we get the deer and the palm trees and everything. Lot of papers from the SIPR are there. But here, one catch I am just sharing with all of you. I just want to, on the World Environment Day, I want to share with you my feeling. We probe, I mean, in between somewhere I told that we probe little bit deeper that like last 150 years, that whether it is a part of some kind of, cycle, we could not get, we said no, it is not because of any natural cycle, it is because of the changing in the atmospheric pressure and the dynamics. But you are right. The things which are changing, they are forcing us, and we have written actually, in fact, you are very right. Still, we wrote that this paper was not getting accepted. Just let me share with you. The editor got fascinated by this sentence that these areas were 3000 years back, 4000 years back, were having very good greenery and this, and they have a lot of archaeological sites. So it is nothing like climate change is just pushing back what was just taken away for last 3,000 years. That is one thing. But here, one more thing I will just inform you. In the beginning, I told about the some Pakistan issue or Baluchistan. You might have thought why I am talking about. Here, I just want to give a message to all of you. See, climate or anything, it's like in our life we get some opportunity, and if you are not clever, if you are not smart enough, okay, then the opportunity never comes back again. So our deep thinking and also modeling is working in that direction for actually last 2 3 months. I'm thinking about it, that if we don't do the right kind of thing in the nearby third, the western Rajasthan and the Gujarat region, I mean like the canaling or the water restoration, management, things like that, then the whole greenery will shift towards the Pakistan side, madam.
Oh, really?
So we will again be deficient. Yes, that's why the climate science, we feel like it is an enjoyable science or something like, we'll publish a paper, we are happy. But there needs somebody like you who can, I mean, do some intermediate thing to tell the policy makers that these are the papers, look at this, do something. That's what nature is telling us. If you don't do, I'm just telling you, you can cross check with other modelers. Then what will happen? This condition slowly will shift towards the other side. We will
What's the
be
other
at
side?
loss.
Oh, that's a bad situation. Okay. Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Rajesh. Huh?
Thank you.
Sir, Namaskar. I
Anybody?
am Anil Kumar from Wadi Institute.
Yes. Okay.
Sir, thank you so much for your nice lecture. I have one little query. I don't know it is relevant to this lecture or not. Recently, there are a lot of paper coming from northwestern Himalaya and other part of the India and other part of the world. They are telling that the climate change from the mid Holocene or to the recent past, the climate change is relative to the total solar irradiance. So they are linking that the climate is basically linked with the total solar irradiance. How can you comment on
This
this?
is the old part.
Sorry,
This is
sir.
my thesis actually. In 2002, I published a paper about the solar radiance forcing
Right,
on
sir.
mountain.
Right, sir. 2000, your 2000 paper in EPSL. This is also
Yes.
that is also saying the same thing. But
Yes.
my question is whether in last 2 decades it is the same scenario that we have seen in last 2000 year.
No, that's right. This is a good question, Anil. I must say that this we have talked about and we have cross-checked with the AP Dimri and other important people like Parish Srivastava a number of times, that this which we are seeing in the last 2 decades, this kind of forcing like 0.3 degree per decade, it is just superseding all the solar irradiance forcing or everything. I mean, that was like a 0.06% forcing, and we are talking about 0.3 in some scale. Please believe me. So recently, I mean, I don't know, people like Anil Gupta, Akhilesh Gupta, and all these people. If you talk about the funding agency, also they will say this natural forcing era is gone, and this accelerated warming has really taken over. If you talk to Rajiv and all, that is, they are correct also. In terms of, well, in the long term, you are right that the solar radiance provides the RAM. But what is happening now, what I just presented, there the role of solar forcing is just very feeble, and we have checked actually. That's why I said we checked the natural cycles, and there we checked about the possibility of the solar radiance forcing. That is not there. Not much.
Yeah, thank you so much. But what could be the reason that suddenly after 2000 the climate is drastically changed and so many warm years are there and a lot of precipitation is there? So what could be the possible reason?
So far, people have come up only with this, that whatever we were doing, we are just reaping the rewards of that. And now we are getting corona also. We don't know really what is happening. So many new things are happening in this recent 2 3 years or recent 2 decades. Really, I don't know, but it is happening.
Yeah. Thank you so much,
Something
sir.
peculiar. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. If no raised hand is there,
Sir,
then I can take.
hello. Sir, I am
Somebody.
Dipannita Sengupta from Wadi Institute. I'm
Okay.
a JRF. So I want to ask that desert region means there is higher albedo. Am I right?
Sorry, say it again.
In desert regions, there should be higher albedo.
Correct.
So
Yes.
that means less heat is getting absorbed by the land. So how is still this western part of India in Rajasthan Thar Desert? How is this still getting greener?
It is getting greener. I mean, and we are talking about in this paper also, and I have gone also that the if you go to Jaisalmer, the areas around this, they are getting greener. You are asking me why they are getting greener. I
Yeah,
am told because of the changes,
no, I was,
changes in the
I,
atmospheric and
no, I am actually telling that albedo means less heat is getting absorbed. So the contrast between sea and the land temperature should be less. So that means weaker rainfall. So that is why I'm asking this.
you are correct. Traditionally, if they are desert, then there is a high albedo. Everything is all right. But as I have just told, I'm not getting what is your question. I mean, you are asking me that why albedo is not playing any role anymore.
Yeah,
That is
yeah,
what
yeah.
your question is.
Hmm.
So I cannot. I don't want to answer, or I cannot answer why albedo is not playing. But what I am trying to say, please understand that albedo is there. It is changing because of the land cover. Actually, I was a part of the ISRO investigating team way back in 2014 or 15, and there we wanted to have a 5 kilometer by 5 kilometer area where there is no vegetation at all. Okay, so
Okay.
that we get the perfectly nice albedo. And every year they do, the satellite ISRO which they send, then all the satellite data is actually calibrated against the ground data, ground truth. Ground truthing of the data you might have heard. So they go to the hot desert, they go to the Ladakh also. Cold desert, they go to the highly vegetated places also, maybe northeast, I don't know, I have not gone, but I went to the western Rajasthan, the Jaisalmer area. And these people, ISRO people, if you ask me, they were telling, Hare, we were getting this 5 kilometer, 5 kilometer all the time. And now for last some few years, we are not seeing everywhere some patches have come up.
Okay.
So because they cannot use, so they had to manage with some like 2-3 kilometer of area only for their inter comparison. So all in all, what I want to say, things are happening on the ground. You can go there and you can check.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello,
Yes.
sir. Sir, this is Pinky from Wadia Institute. Sir, I
Yes.
have one question. Like, as I'm working in the Tibetan Himalayan region, where it is known that the monsoon penetration is obstructed by the orographic barrier, like STDS. So,
Yes.
sir, actually, this is what I also observed during the last 3 years of my research work, when I'm working right now. But as I was working with the meteorological data, what I found is like the contribution from summer monsoon is around 70 to 80%, and westerlies is contributing the rest of the like 30%. And
Okay.
as I went there during summer monsoon also, and after post monsoon also, what I observed is like there's very less contribution of monsoon. And when the peoples like the local peoples, they used to say that during winter's time they have to migrate downwards in different reason due to the heavy snowfall. So how this differences is there, like what we are observing in the field, it's of course there is no contribution from the west the summer monsoon, but that
Where, which area
meteorological
you are
data is
talking about?
showing.
Which particular area?
So it is in the upper Gali Ganga valley, Kumaon Himalaya.
What? Kumaon Himalaya.
Yes, sir.
Kumaon Himalaya. Kumaon Himalaya. Maybe Vinita ji can answer better because I have not worked in that much of detail. But as I know, the problem with the Uttarakhand itself is that the Garhwal region is receiving more westerlies, and Kumaon is getting less studies, something like that. Kotlia publishing are getting published, something like this. There is a, I mean, climatologically, this two sides of Uttarakhand are having different kind of moisture budget. Some other people can answer it better. I'm sorry. Uh,
Actually, sir, from
okay.
June to September, I was in the field since
Hmm.
last 2 3 years. So what I observed is really there was no rain, and it will occur or for the period of 4 5 days. And I mean, there's a local people's work going on in a daily basis, normal
You are
basis.
talking
There's
about
no,
you are talking about the foothills or upper region.
so
Foothills
in the
are also there. They
upper
are
region.
getting much less, much lesser rainfall. But upper regions are getting good rainfall.
So not in monsoon time. I mean, not in the summer time. In winter's
Not
time,
in
yes, I
the
agree.
initial phase. Yeah, you are right. The westerlies are dominating and lot of extreme rainfall events are there. But why I don't want to answer fully your question. The Kumaon has a different story, but it has not come up in a very nicely in a paper which I even can understand. But I have heard people who work there that Kumaon is different from Garhwal region.
Yes.
How you, I mean, if you can explain to me why it is happening, I would be very happy to learn it.
No, sir. So generally, what we actually taught in our I mean PhD and post PhD works is like the region which is situated, to the north of THF or this STDS. They are, I mean, they generally receive high rainfall during the abnormal monsoons, right? And there's a contribution like it is situated in the transitional zone between the westerlies and Indian summer monsoon. But as I'm working, like I'm a bit confused, like how this meteorological data is giving us this the opposite result as we are observing in the field. Like the
If you send me a lat long or the exact place, I will ask this guy. You know, the first author of this paper, this
Mhm.
Pyari Mohan Maharana, is very good in looking at this because he told me in between that he is actually working on some small pockets of Himalaya where they are getting totally rain deficient.
Okay.
So he might be a better person to answer. Uh, if you send me later on my
Sure.
email the
Yes.
location,
Yes,
and
sir.
because he had some other kind of explanation that at the expense of the Chhattisgarh, at the expense of Jharkhand, these regions are getting totally evaporated or something. Some internal, mechanisms are also operative.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's not very simple actually that the
Yeah.
moisture will raise from the Bay of Bengal and it has to come to your home.
Yes.
It is not
Yes.
necessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So sure, sir. I'll send, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Okay then. Any. Thank you all then. Okay. And have a good weekend.
Thank you, Rajesh,
Thank
for
you so much, sir.
yeah, thank you on behalf of everybody. I would like to thank you. And I hope everybody enjoyed this lecture, and we have ample number of questions for Rajesh. And, at least it would trigger, it has, pressurized our mind to think more on what is really happening and what we've learned throughout our, courses that we've read till now. So I think the time has come to change some things and not just believe in the traditional things that we were learning. So thank you, Rajesh, once again, and wish you all a very happy Environment Day once again. Ma'am, are you there? So,
I think she.
okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we call it an end. Yeah. Thanks, Rajesh. Bye. Bye,
Yeah,
Bye
everybody.
bye.
thank you, Rajesh. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was really nice. Thank you.
Thank you.